What's up, ATG fam? I'm going to try to quickly show you 4 different zones of hamstring training. This is how I'm training them in zero loaded right now. Now, let's take the hamstrings as it applies to the knee. So this is called knee flexion, right? It brings my knee to flex. Okay, notice in this position there's no tension. Now I want you to watch as I go down. You'll notice how the tension increases because of my body weight. So this is harder, 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 harder. Okay? Doing that and pulling back up is the hardest that I train in. The more the hip is bent, the easier it is. But it's still the same concept that as we lengthen here, it gets tougher. So in a shortened position, it's easier. And then the longer it goes, the tougher it gets. So we call this long range knee flexion. And even all that scales. So I actually don't advise trying to come back up unless you spent 12 weeks just fighting it down, which again, still scales. And quick side note, I first advise absolute loads of trying to flex your quad. So most people, when it comes to really weak and painful knees, we want to get rid of any tightness behind the knee first. And this actually starts building up some time under tension just by holding your body weight. When you go here, there's more time under tension. So I advise really, if you wanted my most surefire route, I would advise 12 weeks with the goal of palms on the floor. So I'm trying to get my back as straight as I can with full flexibility of those quads. So think of that as a prep, then think of just fighting down on the Nordic, and then eventually being able to come back up provides almost limitless potential. So we've covered one area though so far, long range knee flexion. Now, if you go right here, this thing's only 60, 70 bucks. Most hamstring curl machines cost thousands of dollars. And with this, I know exactly how much weight I'm lifting, whereas hamstring curl machines are gonna vary in their resistance. But you can use, if you go to a gym, you have hamstring curl machine, awesome. So you're gonna then start introducing, notice this, there's no tension here in the long range. This is the exact opposite of a Nordic. Where does it get toughest? Oh, now on this one, again, the straighter the hip, the tougher it is. With this, we first advise just getting used to just pumping it and then trying to get where you're actually holding there. So you see that's short range knee flexion. It's the exact opposite of the Nordic. Now as we come here, and this will be the final drill, and actually last little note on this one. Again, like the Nordic, this one scales even more. Boop. So my mom started this one just working at body weight alone. Okay, but again, I don't like getting into any of the knee flexion stuff unless it's built on really nice ability to straighten and we're not tight there. Okay, so we still follow that order. You see there, short range, long range. Now the hamstring doesn't only flex the knee, it also extends the hip. So you would also have a long range and a short range. So this means long because it's stretching there, and then short because it's contracting. And with one tool, I specifically bought the cheapest back extension I could find on Amazon. Absolutely hate it, but it works. I like the Valid Fitness one better. This one scales, so like my dad started with literally just like half a rep. And now he does, full reps on 2 legs, but then that can go to single leg. And then by using a bar on back, you'll notice that I'm getting a pretty good, so I'm trying to keep my back as flat as I can. That's a stretch to get up through it and then hold that glute. Okay, how much you arch is a personal thing. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just trying to get to where I can contract that glute. Now stretching, 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 stretching. Contract the glute. So I'm actually getting short range on the hamstring, short range and long range in one movement. And if I hit failure, so that's why I like this one. I can hit failure and nothing bad happens compared to heavier back exercises. It's mechanically really working against me. It's still very minimalistic and it's still very body weight centered. And if we look at what we've done, so in only 3 exercises, I've trained my hamstrings in 4 ranges. Long range on the Nordic knee flexion, short range on the monkey foot knee flexion, and then long and short on the single leg back extension. And 2 out of those 3 were single leg. I'm not saying you couldn't do single leg on a Nordic in terms of training, but if we look at this, maybe you could mix it up and like fight. But I like to have a little bit more, measurement. I like to have a little more time under tension. I like to get a little bit more range of motion in there. Okay. So I think we're best off leaving the Nordic as our double leg version because we still have these two as very exact single leg measurement to keep us balanced. So hopefully that helps you understand that we really have 4 zones of potential in our hamstrings.